Congressman Jim Jordan has admitted to sending a text message to Mark Meadows urging the vice president to reinstate Trump and showing how to do that. Now, the message would describe Mr. Pence's supposed ability to unilaterally reject the Electoral College votes from states where the Trump campaign has put out the big lie that, oh no, there is widespread voter fraud, was sent hours before Capitol rioters, inspired by those same false claims, would storm the Capitol in an attempt to halt the certification of the election. So now, Mike Pence, he doesn't have that power.
Mike Pounds
Doesn't have the power to do it at all. Doesn't have the legal authority to prevent the president, a new president, from taking power. Okay? No. Again, if that's the case, why did Joe Biden, when he was Obama's vice president, allow Donald Trump to be seated, even though the Democrats said that Trump is an existential threat to democracy? Why would he? Why would he? Doesn't really fit in with the right-wing narrative, does it? Because again, if Joe Biden stole the election, wouldn't there be an easier way to do it? Just not let Donald Trump get seated. Just be like, oh, we think Trump's illegitimate, and so whatever, make up whatever you want. I do not certify. And by the way, on that logic, why couldn't Kamala Harris, following Republican logic, not allow a Republican win to be certified if Republicans win in 2024 or 2028 respectively? They just said, you know what? No, we're not going to let that happen. No, we're just going to put Hillary Clinton in instead. Yeah, she's the new president. Oh, that pissed so many people off, right and left. By the way, everybody would be mad. But again, this is not the entire argument that the vice president has the power to unilaterally decide if they're going to certify an election and allow the person who won the election to take power or not is ridiculous. It's not backed up by anything. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And see, here's the thing. The Democrats are actually following the Constitution while Jim Jordan is following a madman. That's what's going on. Now, in fact, Mr. Jordan's office told Politico on Wednesday afternoon that Mr. Jordan forwarded the text to Mr. Meadows, and Mr. Meadows certainly knew it was a forward. So now, it's funny because the Republicans are not focusing on the fact that, oh, this text shows how to do a soft coup of the United States. No, they're going to bog things down with the semantics, of course. In fact, the message came from Joseph Schmitz, a former Pentagon Inspector General, for an upcoming opinion piece that favors Trump's plan to do the soft coup. So again, what basically I'm referring to is, well, if the vice president says, well, the electors, we don't agree with the electors because of the massive voter fraud, so we're just going to send it back. We're going to send the electors back and choose different ones that agree with us, that agree to reinstate or have Donald Trump win the election. Again, that is a literal soft coup. Okay, and so now again, their whole claim is voter fraud. In fact, here's the message, right? Which cites a bunch of nonsense. Alexander Hamilton and judicial precedents. No legislative act, wrote Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist number 78, contrary to the Constitution, can be valid. The court in Hubbard versus Lowe reinforces this truth, that an unconstitutional statute is not a law at all. It is a proposition no longer open to discussion. And then goes through how the different legal statutes, the SDNY court back in 1915, and a decision in 1916 saying, following this rationale, an unconstitutionally appointed elector, just like an unconstitutionally elected statute, is no elector at all. So all of that gobbledygook is basically just them trying to say, we didn't like the way the elector voted, so therefore we're going to recall the elector because we don't think that the election was valid because of the massive voter fraud. I see. So now Jim Jordan says, yes, I forwarded this to Meadows in the hopes that this would be forwarded to Mike Pence and that Mike Pence would do the thing that he's not actually empowered or authorized to be able to do, which again is to give the election over to Donald Trump illegally and unconstitutionally. Now, that admission, interestingly enough, actually came in the context of criticizing Adam Schiff. Why? Adam Schiff showed that text and then added punctuation. Really? Wow. How dare you add punctuation? What, to make this look like I wrote it? Well, to be fair, again, and here's what the Federalist said first. The Federalists argued separately in an article that Mr. Schiff had falsely characterized the words as coming from Mr. Jim Jordan himself. Okay, well, that's their defense, though. That's their defense? Hey, man, look, this sounds bad, but he didn't write it. He actually just forwarded it. Again, with the expectation that it's going to go through Mark Meadows to Mike Pence and to pressure Mike Pence into doing the thing that, again, he's not authorized to do. How does that really change anything? It looks like Republicans are literally, since they have no defense, they're trying to bog this entire thing down with semantics. He didn't use punctuation. We have a sitting congressman that is endorsing the idea of Donald Trump's soft coup. Don't you think that's a bigger issue here? Didn't you think that's a bigger problem? Again, semantically, in the full text message, by the way, it's not even made clear that Jordan is quoting another source and Mr. Schmidt's name is not even mentioned. So how could you, how could you really infer that it didn't come from Jordan himself? We didn't know that until he had to come out and say, oh, actually, it's not me. I just took this excerpt from a piece that I really, really liked and shared a message that I agreed with, because he, again, didn't say that he didn't agree with it. No, he said it on because he did agree with it. And so, again, that would be the real question here. Can you prove that Jim Jordan didn't agree with it? Or did he? And again, if you're not making the case that they should do that Mike Pence should overturn the election, why send it in the first place? I think it's very obvious to me that Jim Jordan was actively presenting different ways to circumvent the certification process, to obstruct Congress in their duty to certify the election based on nonsense voter fraud claims. I think as a result, maybe you want to look into, look into Jim Jordan a little bit further. Because again, they got these from a Mark Meadows text. So how much should he know? How much should he plan in the January 6th Capitol coup? I'd really like to know these questions. We need to find out. Investigate Jim Jordan. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.